Right, hello. Well, that was absolutely dreadful, wasn't it? Another massive defeat for Newcastle again, conceding another 4 goals. Um, Away to Arsenal this time, so it's not as bad as conceding 4 to Luton. But my God, we're absolutely shambolic, absolutely rubbish. Every one of them yesterday they played like they didn't want to play for. Didn't look at any point like they wanted to play for Newcastle, right? Every one of them was poor, apart from Carriers, who I thought was really, really good. I've been saying for weeks I wanted Carriers to start. Obviously, it's not being on the YouTube, but I have been saying to people Carriers should be the number one goalkeeper. And last night he proved it. I'm smiling because I was right. I said from the very start that Carriers should be starting over Dubravka because Carriers is a much better goalkeeper than him. He proved it last night. Some of the saves Carriers made last night were top draw. So like, for the first goal, when Gabriel's initial header, Carriers at full stretch claws it off the line, right? And then our atrocious defending then couldn't get rid of it. But he's like, so even after it's hit Botman the second time, he's still nearly saved it off the line, which I think is absolutely like excellent. And then throughout the game, he made multiple like really, really like top draw saves. Like when Saka like ran through the team basically and just nestled it into the near post. And Karius is at like, and then Karius is like made a really like top draw save to get it, but just not good enough. Botman and Shaw last night. I've been full of praise for Botman from the minute he signed for Newcastle. Hasn't had a terrible game for us hasn't had a terrible game for us since joining, right? He was absolutely appalling last night. It's like he lost all his defensive ability. I don't know what the hell happened, but he was rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. For the first goal, it was his missed clearance that then leaving Livramento to try and clear for him. And then for the second goal, it was the ball over the top that Botman was so naive of what was behind him. Just totally switched off, missed the ball, and then Havertz has got an easy tap in. So it was really, really poor. Again, I don't know what the hell's happened with our defence. How in less than a year you can go from one of the best defences in Europe to one of the worst. Like, I just don't get it at all. They were rubbish last night. Every one of them, apart from Karius, as I said. Willock came on, had a few good dribbles. He done well. Took his goal brilliantly, by the way. A lovely like looping header into that far post. Albeit it did sort of ruin my night as I had all the Arsenal defenders in my fantasy Premier League, but what can you do? I think it's the first time I've actually been gutted over a Newcastle player scoring. But right from the off, I've said this for a while now, right? You can tell how Newcastle's going to play based off the first 10-15 minutes of a game. You've seen it against Aston Villa last season, where we had a poor start, weren't stringing the passes together, it just wasn't very good, right? Same again last night, we just couldn't keep the ball, couldn't do anything, and then Arsenal inevitably scored the first goal, and it doesn't come as a surprise. They were shocking last night. They were really, really shocking. Now, this might be a bit far-fetched, but it's a point I want to make. and I want to know your thoughts on it, right? Eddie Howe. Last few games, right, he has bottled it. It has been his either stupid substitutions or lack of substitutions that's costing us points, right? So, is he the right man to take us forward? Yes, I'd love him to, because I think he deserves it. But with the managerial options out there of your Hansi Flicks, the Champions League winner with Bayern Munich, you've got to be looking at it and thinking, you know what? Like, it could be his time. Could be his time. I don't want it to be, but it could be. Because I mean, right. So last season we were like so ahead of schedule according to the rest of the Premier League, right? In that Newcastle documentary, we finished, well, obviously not in the documentary, but we finished fourth, right? And in that documentary, His Excellency Yasser Al-Rumayyan then said, he said that he wants to be number one, right? Amanda Staveley said that we were going to win the title after 5 years. It's been nearly 3, and do we look anywhere near winning it? Do we, Nick? So there's got to be massive questions asked about what's actually happening with the club. But as I say, I'll leave it for you to decide what should happen with managers like Hansi Flick available. But it's another, like, such a poor display at home where, not at home, I don't know why I said that. It's another, like, really, like, poor display where we weren't even in the game. Our best bit of the match was when it was 4-0 and the pressure was off. Because, I mean, Arsenal, they've been getting raved about, like, by TNT and other, like, presses and journalists. I honestly don't think they were that good. They've just done enough against an absolutely shocking side. But who am I to say? So, yeah, I think I'll end it there before I start swearing, I'll be honest with you. Please let me know what you think of the whole Eddie Howe decision, or whether he's bottled it again against Arsenal with his either with his substitutions or with his, like, starting lineup, whatever. Please do let me know what you think. And that's all from me. See you in the next one.